BFM 89.9, good morning. I'm Nadia, Hassan with your morning headlines. Although the subject matter is actually quite varied across the papers today, there's one pretty lady though whose face is pretty much almost all on the main papers, and that is Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. And now she can add the word ousted to in front of that, because what happened was Thailand's Constitutional Court dismissed Yingluck from office, usually due to abuse of power, and a ruling that basically is going to threaten a new wave of political unrest in the kingdom. At least that's what the Malay Mail kind of says. And the funny thing is, the issues in Thailand have been brewing and they have been bubbling for quite a while. And if that's the case, this is just going to add to it. The big question is, what's going to happen next? Is this going to be another round of political protest? What is this going to mean for Thailand? One of the papers actually points out that in terms of external effects, Thailand's reputation as a famous tourist spot is definitely going to take a bit of a hit. I think ever since the protests all started, 250,000 of tourists have actually stopped going. And let's not forget, you have to also look at the economic implications. A lot of car makers, some specifically Japanese car makers, are actually also in Thailand. So what this actually means will be anybody's guess. The Malay Mail also points out about the issue that's going on in Sabah, talking about the kidnapped Chinese fish farm manager. He was apparently the latest victim when 5 gunmen abducted him in Lahad Datu. Now the blame game begins basically. So who is going to be? Who is actually the blame? So now they're talking about tighter shipping rules for local and foreign vessels. This was an announcement made by Home Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, saying that foreign vehicles that want to enter the zone must follow a gazetted route. And like I said, ESCOM, it continues to receive flack from everybody, including a deputy PM, who said it seems to be inadequate. And it makes you question as to really how safe those water borders are, because again, how long can this continue on before it becomes more than an international incident it is? The interesting thing is, there's a little piece inside here when they're saying that the abductors actually spoke fluent Malay. So that means clearly they were familiar enough with the area. Moving on to the NST, they are working on their own little expose, besides the fact that little pretty lady is also there as well, talking about ripples in the water. So Health Minister has ordered frequent checks on the water quality in treatment plants. This was following the expose yesterday. Then they were talking about tainted water, because in order of the crisis, they had to draw water from mining pools. And they said, are the mining pools really safe to drink? Is it really processed properly? So this was why expert says that the Selangor government scheme should be put on hold, but they're continuing checks. And Selangor themselves have actually come out to say, hey, the water is safe, so don't worry about it. But going much on the utilities theme, it actually also talks about this little embarrassing thing, especially for TMB. Lights out in 6 states. 6 states was hit by a series of power failures. Thousands of people, consumers, business owners, a hospital without electricity supply up for 3 hours. So TMB must have definitely been scrabbling. This is officers in Negeri Sembilan, Johor, Melaka, Perak and Kedah and Penang. Must have been bombarded with complaints about the consumers. There was also frustration on the social media page, which actually makes you wonder, if they didn't have any power, how did they do it? Most likely, I suppose, from smartphones. Welcome to the wonderful world of complaining. The general manager said the company had yet to determine how many people were affected by the blackout. But to be quite fair to TNB, their service has actually been pretty good. But this is the kind of blip when everybody kind of notices when you actually screw up. Landslide fear is what Sun basically says. Bukit Sitawangsa residents apparently experienced sleepless nights over recent soil movement. It appears that the spectre of Highland Towers continues to linger on. And the funny thing is the fact that although Highland Towers still remains one of the most startling memories in the history of the nation, if you've actually ever driven by certain parts of KL, especially through the Panchala Link Hill, they seem to be still building it up the hill. So landslide fears, definitely now it's down to quality control. We just hope that another incident, fingers crossed, does not occur, otherwise it'll happen all over again. Star also picks up about the turmoil in Thailand, but it actually also links between Star and Sina, talking about MCA lodges report against ISMA. So statements by a group can apparently still racial tension and affect the peace and harmony of the group, says the MCA. The IGP says the group is under probe. But talking about things that cause a little bit of inharmony, hudud as a very big headline in the Sina, says, because I think they had a board. So you have various quotes from various people actually saying, you know, jika hanya Islam dikenakan potong tangan dan bukan Islam boleh memilih hukuman penjara 2 bulan, I rasa orang Islam akan mengaku diri dia orang Siam. Basically, it means that people will, you know, if you put this kind of thing and you give them 2 different punishments, people, of course, will probably err on the side of what they see as the punishment. But this debate continues to rage on. I've been told not to comment so much on it by my mother, so I will not really say that. I'll just say that it's going to still continue on and there's nothing much else you can do. But you can see all of the things from the side. One main thing is that MCA is going to discuss their position with UMNO because they will not support the hudud. And talking about the hudud, interestingly enough, you know who else does not support this kind of very chopping of limbs and all this kind of stuff? Jay Leno and Ellen DeGeneres, because that's the news that's actually been on. They're protesting the hotel that the Sultan of Brunei, which of course the state of Brunei is looking towards that kind of punishment. They're protesting it in Beverly Hills, and there's a very, very big picture that you can see pretty much anywhere. It makes you wonder, right, how much of these celebrities will actually have an impact. But regardless, you know what? It draws headlines and it doesn't make you look any better. And we finish up as always with our favorite metro. Basically, it's called Godaan Rio, and Rio is not a girl, it's basically the World Cup. And that's our word of the day, Godaan or temptation. It says that although the World Cup is yet to be upon us, they've already started distributing flyers talking about how you can apparently illegal gamble. But, you know, Harian Metro is a caring, concerned paper, so it tells you, tetapi awas, but beware. It's not just the organisers who get in trouble, it's those guys who are actually doing it will actually get in trouble. So since you're using the word temptation, let me put it in terms of the world's oldest profession. It's not just the pimps getting caught, it's also going to be the Johns, if that's the case it's going to be. And one always wonders that, okay, fine, these illicit syndicates have always been around, they always crop up, but it makes you wonder, do casual bets at coffee tiams count? One question to ask. That's been your morning headlines from me. I'm Nadia Hassan for BFM 89.9.